DBF is a nonprofit, so it depends on our sponsors and donations to bring great authors to Decatur each year. Please consider a tax-deductible donation to support the festival by going to the festival website. Lastly, please take a moment to ensure your devices are turned off. Our moderator today is Joe Barry Carroll. He graduated from Purdue University and was drafted by the Golden State Warriors, where he was selected as an NBA All-Star. Joe is the publisher of Real Talk about LGBTQIAP and the author of Growing Up in Words and Images, Black American Voices, My View from 7 Feet in Coach Lee Rose. The Joe Barry Carroll Family Foundation is a leading sponsor of Decatur Book Festival. Over to you, Joe.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for coming out. We're going to try real hard to make it worth your while. So hold on and be patient. I have of course, a bio for Mr. Mott. Jason Mott has published 4 novels: The Return, The Wonder of All Things, The Crossing, and Hell of a Book. And People Like Us, which we're going to talk about later. His novel entitled Return was a New York Times bestseller and was turned into a TV series on the ABC network under the title Resurrection. He's the author of 2 poetry collections. We call this thing Between Us Love and Hide Behind Me.
Yes, sir.
They didn't cap that. We're going to talk to him about that. Thought that was commentary. His poetry and fiction has appeared in various literary journals. His novel Hell of a Book was named the winner of the National Book Award for Fiction in 2021. I know you're trying to pretend it's just a thing, but it's really not. It's a big thing. His current book and the subject of our conversation this morning, entitled People Like Us. Mr. Mott hails from Bolton, North Carolina. Ladies and gentlemen, author, poet, UNC Wilmington professor, and fantastic human, Mr. Jason Mott. You ever get used to this?
No, not at all. I keep looking for someone else to come walking out as they read that stuff off. So no.
Congratulations on this book. It's incredible. If you haven't read it, you must read it. And I'm having to be real careful about the questions I ask him because I don't want to give away too much. But they have as many as you want outside that door. So those of you who don't have one, get one. Everyone should have one. You'll be the cool kid in your classroom. Okay. Tell us everything in 50 minutes.
Exactly.
Have you discovered your tribe yet in terms of, everything is not for everybody. So it's like, can you identify who your group is, the people who are most enthusiastic about your work?
Yeah, I think so. I think I've gotten pretty good at just spotting the people who are outsiders in the same way that I am an outsider oftentimes. And they're the ones who tend to find things in the work that even I didn't know I was putting in there. And it's like, oh yeah, there's someone who comes up to me and like, oh, I read this thing and I love how you were talking about this. And it's like, you know what? I actually was talking about that. I didn't realize it. So yeah, I've kind of gotten to identify my people that way.
How does that feel?
It feels amazing. I was talking to someone about this actually just this week about how, as writers, you oftentimes feel like you're just throwing stuff into the void. You're sending it out there. The book's going out and like you rarely get to meet readers. Even though I'm on tour and I come to events, like for the amount of work, you spend years in this cave by yourself and then it goes out. And so when you go out to a reading and you connect with someone who actually caught the thing that you were putting out there and you thought it was a very small thing, but they recognize it as this very important thing. Like that is just, it's resonating in a way. You feel seen in a way that I think you can't really be seen in other kind of venues. And that's pretty powerful.
It's beautiful. I just really enjoyed it. It's prose and poetry. It's savory. It's sweet. There's hip hop. There's symphony, jazz. But it's like you got something you want to share with us?
What do you mean?
How does all that come out of one person?
I'm not really sure. I've learned to just kind of go with the story when it goes. I just knew that I wanted it to be all of those things. Like I read a lot of, there are a lot of writers who are tackling the same subject matter that I am in a very I'll say traditional way. That's not talking bad about traditional writing, but like,
okay, you're going to have to put modesty to the side because we're going to really have to go in. This is really special. He's really special. I mean, we just met. I would say in the green room, but there is no green room. It's kind of a crew or something back there. But but the writing is just, I think, phenomenal. If I'm to judge, I mean, at least I know what I like, and I like it a lot. So, but you got to put modesty to the side because we want to get in. We want to take a peek inside. Tell us what is this book about? What is People Like Us about?
So in terms of plot, it's about two authors. One author is traveling around Europe. He met someone in the early part of the novel that told him he's going to kill him, and he's bouncing around Europe trying to figure out what home means to him. The other author is traveling the U.S. on a book tour as well. He's going to speak at a college where a mass shooting has just occurred and students were killed, and he's asked to come and speak there. So that's kind of like the plot level. Like what it's actually about is America and our relationship with guns and how complicated that actually is. That's what the core of it is actually about.
What's the whole thing with the gun? Everybody's got a gun. There's some killing going on. What's up with that? What?
I mean, that is me trying to figure out how I exist and how we all exist with guns. Guns are they're embedded in our DNA for better or worse. We refuse to take them out of our lives. I toured around the U.S. a lot. Sometimes I've toured in areas where I didn't feel particularly safe, and I've had friends and family be like, "Oh man, you should carry a gun while you're on tour." Like,
where you going? Are you packing? Right?
I am not. I do not carry.
It doesn't bother us. I mean, a lot of us grew up around it. I just want to know how safe it is up in here.
No, I know. I'm with you. Like, my dad bought my first shotgun when I was 10, my first rifle when I was 13. I got my first handgun when I was 19. So like, I'm a multiple gun owner. Like I have a lot of guns, but I don't understand. I think it's just a complicated relationship. Like I like hunting. I like using guns for a target practice, things like that. But should we be allowed to have AR-15s? I don't think so. Like I start splitting hairs when it comes to certain types of guns.
No AR-15.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway. I agree with that.
I mentioned your hometown in Bolton. There's one of the characters mentions this. He's making a point, and he says some people decide not to leave versus deciding to stay. Mm-hmm. Which one of those for you? Because you could live anywhere in the world now with all this success that you're having. Don't back up from that. So was this a thing? Did you decide not to leave, or was it a commitment to stay? Did it draw you there? Because this is a small town, right?
Yeah. Bolton has maybe 800 people. Like there's more people in this hotel than there is in my whole town. Like, and I'm not even joking. So like, I think I've just decided not to leave, more than anything else, because I live on property my family has owned for close to 100 years. There's a sense of responsibility and legacy tied to that. So I want to stay for that. At the same time, this America's kind of a dumpster fire, and it has been for a long time, and it seems to be getting worse every day. I don't think it's past the point of kind of restoration of like solving the problems. But I honestly don't know the value in staying and trying to fix things. So I think I've just decided not to leave because I have family and friends, and my tribe is here. Like my tribe is here. So I'm staying for that reason, but I don't think I've really decided to stay. I've just decided not to leave.
Is there an emotional attachment to land, like dirt, like having, like sometimes people will tell us that because some of us don't have a country of origin necessarily, that it means a thing to us. Do you have a certain attachment to the land that represents something to your person?
Yeah, very much so. I think that African Americans in particular don't necessarily have a country of origin in the same way that most other people do. Black lineage points, they say Africa, well, Africa's a continent. It's not a country. Like there's no unifying monolith there. It's a continent. And so for me, the land that I live on, my dad lived there, his dad lived there, my great granddad lived there. I remember growing up there, my dad telling me stories of how him and my great granddad did things on certain parts of property. And I can walk out there in the mornings and like touch that ground. So for me, there is a strong emotional attachment. For my sisters, my nieces and nephews, we all feel very much anchored in that place. And I think having a sense of home, a sense of being anchored somewhere is a rare and powerful feeling. And so I'm trying to make sure that like that is able to be passed on to my nieces and nephews and stay there for as long as they need it to be. I don't think you should have a blood oath where you never leave, but I think that for now, we've all decided to just kind of not leave.
What is a good reason to leave?
What's a reason to leave?
A good reason. I mean, there are plenty of reasons.
Oh, no,
is there is like a real reason to leave your homestead?
I think that when you finally decide that it is not worth your psychological and emotional health and physical health, I think that's the key to leave. It's like if you're in a house, the house is on fire, you're trying to put the fire out. If you think you're making progress, if you think the fire is being contained and things can still be saved, then I think you should stay. And like, well, not you should, but like, that's not the reason to leave. But once you realize the fire is too big, it can't be salvaged anymore, it's time to get out. And so I don't think I personally am at that tipping point yet. I can see it, like it's not far off sometimes, but I don't think I'm at that tipping point yet. And my family and people around me also kind of feel the same way. So I think we're all just trying to stay and stomp on the fire some more and spit on it and do whatever we can to keep it from consuming.
What's going on back there? I thought you lived in Mayberry, man, and you're telling me about the problems. The story is unfolding. Another reveal.
Now the fire.
I got issues.
It's this country is it's a complicated place. I'm being nice to say it.
But is the country Bolton? But is the country your home? I mean, because I would imagine whatever you see, knowing that you get to come back there might be redemptive. I mean, might make it worthwhile.
But coming back there, like Bolton doesn't exist in a vacuum. Like there's no walls around it to keep out the insanity of the rest of the world. Like my mayor was shot when I was 10 years old by a police officer. Like the world bleeds into even the smallest towns. America's chaos, all the things that are happening, they all bleed in. Like just a week ago, the town of Southport, which is a half-hour drive from my house, a gunman rolled up at a restaurant and killed 3 people and injured 8 others. Just rode up on a boat to this like riverfront restaurant and started shooting. So Bolton isn't walled off from any of that. So that's what I mean by like going home doesn't escape.
I gotta leave Bolton. I don't feel safe anymore. It's all warmed up with Bolton, thinking about, wow, that's like fine bluff.
You should come. We grow muscadine grapes.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
It's a good time.
Yeah. Can't look forward to get that gunfight.
I mean, bring something with you. That's all.
Guns are too loud for me. There's legal disclaimers throughout this book in the form of, I mean, you position it a certain way, and I don't want to spoil things. I'm dying to tell you all these secrets, but it wouldn't be fair. You just walk away from the reading going like, oh, enough of that. Let's go over here and get another book. But is that an opportunity to address the disclaimers?
Yeah,
as well as say what you want to say? Because you take some license throughout. Let me ask you, what is the purpose of that instead of telling you what it is? Go ahead.
Yeah. So there's a disclaimer on the very first page of the novel, that essentially says, it's based off of true events, but it's kind of like when you watch this movie where it says, facts have been changed to protect the innocent. There's a version of that at the beginning of the book, because just like Hell of a Book, People Like Us is about 70% memoir, 30% plausible deniability. That's kind of how I always describe it. Where a lot more of the book than you probably expect actually did happen. And so I want to make sure, for like real world legal reasons that, there's some plausible, and also just for actually protecting and caring for people who like shared parts of themselves with me. Like, I don't want someone to ever share part of themselves with me. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to go write about this now and share it to the whole world. Like there are parts in my book that again occurred to real people, but before the book was published, I contacted them and I said, hey, here's this scene that you and I lived through or you lived through and I'm using it. Are you okay with that? If not, let me know. I'll change it. I'll take it out. So I try to always be very respectful of people who have lived through experiences.
But doesn't it have a practical application? Because if you make that denial, or if you redact someone's name, then our imagination goes anywhere.
Yes.
Plus, you get to go anywhere with it. So it's kind of practical as well. It's not just this high moral ground you're seeking. It's
well, I wanted to be perceived as high moral ground, and you're taking all my steam out.
This is just between us. These are your closest friends out there. These are your this is your tribe. Like Frenchie.
Yeah.
Doesn't that give you an opportunity with that character to just let it be anything, as well as everything becomes plausible? Because when you're dealing with somebody of that stature, then it makes sense that your character could do anything. Am I overthinking that, or
no,
is that the way I'm on there?
No, you're exactly where you need to be. Like, you're dead on with that.
Oh, good.
Yeah, there's a lot of hiding characters.
I feel affirmed.
Yeah, you should. There's a lot of hiding characters' identity, because again, like, some of it's based off real people, but I also want to manipulate the reader's imagination. I want people to think, what is he talking about, this person or maybe that person, or did this part here happen, or how did it happen? Like, that's all manipulation, all designed to make people go to certain places.
Manipulation?
That's what writers do. I'm very honest about that.
We're being seduced?
Yes, you totally are. You totally are. When I teach.
You'd rather take this into the club, the bars, and everything.
No.
Like, hey, baby, hey,
No, I tell people, when I teach creative writing for graduate students and undergrads, and day one, first day of class, I tell my entire classes, I said, you need to understand what writing is. Writing is the controlling information to manipulate readers emotionally and psychologically. That's what we do. We're manipulators. That's all we do. Accept it, lean into it.
Pimp.
And just go.
Okay, so I mentioned the variety of experience that you're going to have. You've got this wonderful piece here. What is it? 233. That I'd like to ask you to read.
Okay.
I'm asking you.
I think I marked it.
Read it. And it's just the part that I've highlighted there about a word. And it's beautiful. It really is. And this is not even necessarily a love book or a love poem, but collection of, because you are a poet as well. Yes. And so you feel all of this throughout the book. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. There should be a word for the ability to stop crying about a past pain, even though it's still in you. There should be a word for living. Yes, that's it. There should be a word for continuing to live when a part of you has died. There should be a word that sums that up. And the longer you live, the more that word should become part of you. Because the thing of it is, every day that the person is missed feels longer, and there's nothing you can do about it. Nothing you can do to share the long, beautiful days that they are not a part of. There should be a word in the English language for admitting that the person you love is not here, and yet you have had a good day. There should be a word for admitting to yourself that some of the good things in life did not die with them. There should be a word for admitting to yourself that somehow, perhaps, you have thrived in this world even though they are not with you. There should be a word for admitting that, in spite of all your fears, life does keep moving. There should be a word for the newly bereaved and the veterans of longing. There should be a word to separate those who have not come to terms with the fact that the world has kept spinning for all these years, sunrise upon sunrise upon sunrise, and their grief has not stopped anything but themselves. There should be a word for the fact that in the end, life is impatient and will not wait. There should be a word for raging at time. There should be a word for hitting at the future. There should be a word for smiles that are taking away. There should be a word for laughter that you will never hear again. There should be a word for laughter that people who have never met them will never get to hear. There should be a word for your full heart beating even when your mother is dead and your father is dead and you have gone on and laughed the night away with friends, or made love unto bliss and lifted your child into the air in laughter without them ever seeing it or hearing your mother or your father. There should be a word for loving a child. There should be a word for grieving over decades. There should be a word for surviving.
Isn't that special? And he fits that in with among some other things that would seem to be unrelated, but they really are. And I won't tell them what that passage is connected to. That's kind of part of the thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, all right. Okay. I swore a blood oath. You say you're an introvert.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
It means that that it takes a lot of energy for me to be amongst people and amongst crowds. Not all people, not all crowds, but it basically means that I recharge in solitude, like being alone or being with very small groups. Typically being alone is where I actually kind of recharge and feel revitalized and kind of are able to think. Whereas being amongst crowds exhausts me more than it does energize me.
Yeah, that's a therapist question.
I got a good therapist. I mean,
Is it?
you're my therapist.
No, I just wonder when people. I'm sorry.
I say my therapist and I have hacked through this for a decade. So you got nothing I haven't heard.
Well, but I hear everybody say that. I never hear anybody say, "Oh yeah, I'm just about it. I'm the loudest person in the room. I love being around all these people or whatever." Is it more when people sometimes, as an introvert, someone who might be an introvert, is it that you want things on your own terms? You don't want to go through the work of what it takes to interface with people and stuff?
No, it's not that at all. It is not that at all.
Because we were waiting for you last night, and you told me you had to go and take a nap.
No, I was in town last night, and I totally ducked that meet and greet.
Right.
Because I am an extreme introvert. No, and I really thought about this.
Maybe you just needed a nap.
No. It was not that I needed a nap. What it truly is, and it's something I've thought about a lot, because again, I got a therapist. We've been 10 years. We've sorted through this.
I know, so I can leave you alone about this, right?
No, you're fine. You're totally fine. This is
I'll pay a man $200 an hour for this. What are you doing?
Honestly, a lot of why I am an introvert and why I like being alone is I have this innate and oftentimes like just really huge fear of saying or doing something that harms someone emotionally. I have a extreme worry that the more I interact with people, I'm going to accidentally say something that like hurts them and they carry it forward for their lives. And so to avoid the idea of like accidentally hurting someone, I like to be by myself because I know I can't say anything accidentally and like bother someone or give them a bad experience as just me. So when I'm with crowds, though, and with people, I'm always afraid that like I'm going to make a joke or just a comment or be like, just say something that I don't even know like is a trigger for them or something that harms them, and they just never forget about it. So that's why I like to be alone.
I'm going to leave you alone on this because
yes.
If that's what you came up with, because you know what's the challenge of that, and then I will move to the next thing, is that people, they don't necessarily hear what we said.
Oh yeah.
They hear what they feel.
And that's exactly where the disconnect happens.
So it really wouldn't matter, would it? What you say to them, because they're going to figure if they like you, they'll receive it in a loving, receptive way. If they resent you, they'll go like, he was horrible.
Yeah, but I'm saying like there's always a chance that that it is received in a way that I didn't intend. And again, that bothers me. I never said it was rational. I never said it was rational.
Oh, okay.
At all. I'm just explaining.
I'll accept that as a tap out on that one. Yeah, so we can move on. In the memoir, when people say that this is your memoir, is memoir, did you find that was going to be too restrictive? You wanted to go some places because you seem like you think so huge. You're encompassing all these places that to just do a memoir, you'd have to be tethered to more facts, perhaps, although memoir itself is not the same as biography necessarily. But with saying, declaring to everyone, this is not memoir, you can go anywhere and do anything, including see people. Mm-hmm.
No, so
like, hey, do you see anybody in here that's with us? No, you'll give us a heads up if you start seeing people floating around, right?
Maybe. No, the reason it's not memoir is it's just, it was too personal. Like I don't like share. Like I learned a long time ago in writing that when you share stuff with readers, and this is not attacking a reader, but like when you share stuff, you can never get it back. When my first novel, The Return, came out, I shared in this letter about how like that was inspired by this dream of my mother passing away and like this dream that my mother came back and revisited me. And for that entire book tour, I would have strangers ask me about my dead mother. And that is a wild, painful experience. And so I learned early on with memoir, you can't bring it back. So that's why fiction, adding that layer of fiction allows me to capture the idea of a moment rather than the facts as well.
Okay. I'm shifting. I'm going to jump around a lot because it's a lot of cover here.
I'm with you.
I got a lot of notes here, man.
It's a good note.
How is life on the other side of success for you? I mean, because I'm gathering that you're a distance from the Verizon helpline.
Correct.
So what happens with that? How would you describe the difference in how you move about the world in Bolton and out in the world?
Yeah.
Your confidence even.
I think that's it. I think confidence. I think right now I have more confidence as a writer, more confidence as a person than I ever used to have. Writing is a very insecure laden art where like you always feel like you're a poser. You feel like you're always just kind of pretending. And I feel like I'm not pretending anymore. Like I feel like I'm actually a writer, after all this time.
Was there a particular, and we love your work, so get over that. Was there a particular event that brought you to that? Like, did you have a moment that you said, hey, we're on now?
I think it was cumulative. I don't think there's any one specific thing. A lot of it was a few years ago, one of my mentors who taught me when I was in undergrad and grad, and even after that, he was a mentor to me. He passed away and I wound up like teaching in his spot after he left. And so that transition where like now I'm on the other side of the fence where I am the one that these new students are coming to and they're looking for mentorship and I'm guiding them through the same pitfalls that he helped guide me through. So I think that was a big part of it because I remember when I was there in college, seeing him, like he was a writer, like maybe to him, he felt insecure or whatever, but to me, like he was the definition of a writer. And now I'm on the other side of that where I meet these young students who like, to them, like I am a writer with a capital W. So I've got to like actually accept that because it's true. Like I am a writer.
You are.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that there's some money involved in all of this. Has that
not as much as you might think. I wish so hard there was more money involved. It's don't get me wrong.
But let's go with that. It's more exciting if we embellish.
I know.
Has there been a difference for you? I mean, do you approach material things different on this side versus back in the day?
Not really. I mean, there definitely a little bit. Like, you know, I get cheese in my Whopper now when I go to Burger King. You know, I can get a large size if I want to. Like, I ain't got to count the pennies. So there's definitely that component of it. But I think also because I didn't get financially stable, I'll call it that because it's definitely ain't rich. But I am definitely financially stable. Like, I'm not struggling anymore. I'm not going to pretend that I am. Like, I remember what struggling meant and I know what struggling is for people. And I'm not there. I'm also not in like, you know, 7-figure bank account millionaire status. Like, I'm well off. I'm in that comfortable spot. And so the thing I've learned from that is because it happened later in life, I'm not blowing the money on like cars and strippers and cocaine. Like I'm putting it in my 401k and like I'm trying to pay off the mortgage and like it's going to much more tame middle-aged things that it should be going towards.
What's your indulgence?
My indulgence is
other than the cheeseburger.
I think my indulgence is I'm a car guy. So like I've got like a BMW I take to a racetrack and do track days. That is like, that's a lot of money. Just, you just cars are
left
money.
Turns.
No,
left
I don't
turns.
do NASCAR.
Left
NASCAR is
turn.
all left turns. No, I go to racetracks. I burn through tires. I go, so that is my indulgence where like, I know that money is just being wasted when I go there, but it's fun. And like, I can afford finally to like waste that money and not lose sleep over it. So that feels really, really good.
How about being recognized?
What do you mean?
Like people?
No, I mean, recognition can mean a lot of different things. No, recognition can mean a lot of different things. What do you mean by recognize?
I get it. You're saying perhaps there's some recognition by people you
right
then a distance, and then there are people who walk up to you constantly.
Right.
You can't just
yes, that's what I'm looking for. Like
either one of them. Go.
Well, so writers are never truly writers are famous in like a 1-block radius of the book event. Like I'm famous in this room. And maybe in this hotel, if I step to the McDonald's a block away, nobody knows who the hell I am. and nobody really cares. So that's what I mean by like writers aren't like truly famous. Look, again, we're famous in the 1 block radius of the book events. After that, you're just some random dude walking down the street. And I actually like that. I actually like, cause it allows me to have the introvert anonymity that I want, but then it also allows me to meet people who actually like engage with my work and who enjoy the work. And that makes me feel really, really good. So I think it's a cool space to be.
Where we are, table, underwater. You referred to a thing about being underwater, which I guess is when would you share with us what that means?
So there's a few different ones, like in terms of writing craft.
Yes.
Yeah. So I talk about my writing style. Like people ask about like Hell of a Book because it's got comedy, it's got drama, and it swings back and forth. And the way that I try to approach Hell of a Book and People Like Us, both of these novels, because they're sequels. One is a sequel to the other. But I try to approach it from this sense of the heavy moments. I think of like pushing a reader underwater, and they have to swim through this long tunnel, and it gets really tense. Like you're worried if you're going to come out the other side, your lungs are getting tight, like it's pressure and anxiety. And then I use the comedy in the book where like when you do come up for air, you get this really crisp, fresh air that like the sun is shining and it feels good. So I try to have the comedy offset that. I think that giving that reader that underwater moment is what makes them really care about the characters and be involved. But then also giving that release of fresh air, that laughter at the end of that, I think that also keeps them able to go from like island to island and do the hard stuff.
Why do what is this human condition that allows, that makes the reveal so potent? Because there's something very potent about that experience when when it comes together, because it seems like you're sending me on an errand when I'm reading to find something out. Cause at certain places, I'm a little confused about what's going on. And then all of a sudden you bring it all together and it's like, voila, there it is. What is that? What is that? Is that in terms of, have you looked deeper into what that does? What is it about us as humans that draws us to that punishment?
No, so I think it is kind of how you called it seduction earlier. I think that readers know intuitively. Maybe they don't know it like on the front of their brain, but they know it internally. Like a book is trying to trick you. It is trying to like take you somewhere. And sometimes they just go along with it. But like everyone knows that like books are trying to take them somewhere that they have never been before. And so sometimes they'll have these defenses and sometimes not. So humor is a great way to like lower someone's defenses and make them care. And then once you've lowered their defenses with the humor, then you can actually tell them this very serious, heartfelt, emotional, like attachment thing. And I think people are more likely to attach after that. Like if you just have a scene that's just pure drama, unless that person has lived that moment or has a direct relation to it, I think it's hard for them to connect. But everyone understands a good laugh. Everyone understands a good silly moment. And we've all lived through some silly moments in our lives. And I think we can connect with that. And then that will open the door to those big, powerful moments that you want to give the reader.
Is writing a companion for you? I mean, it's like, because you mentioned some downtime someplace when I was preparing for this. But there really is there really downtime for a writer? Because you're always, even if you're not physically writing, you're accumulating these experiences that will come out later.
Yeah, I don't think there's any such thing as downtime for me as far as writing goes. Writing has been my companion since I was about 14 years old. Like, I don't know how to exist without writing. Like, I don't know how to go through a day or a week if I'm not writing or thinking about writing or planning a character or planning a book. This morning I woke up at 5:30. So I get up early. I was up at 5:30 this morning.
Who does that? Jeez.
I was up first thing writing. I wrote like a few pages. I wrote like 8 or 9 pages this morning before I got here. On the home, I'll make notes.
You really are.
Writing is my most consistent companion for my entire life, honestly.
Are you a black writer or a writer who is black?
It depends on who the crowd is at the time. I think I am both. Like, I tried for a long time to be a writer who is black. And what I learned is I'm not allowed to be that. I have to be the black writer, whether I want to or not. When The Return came out, and Wonder of All Things, like, none of those books are about race. None of those books are about identity. They're just about these global events, this magical realism story. And yet at every book conference I went to, at every panel, it's like, we need a black writer, get him. It's like, my book's not about that. Well, you know what, you know about blackness in America. You come up here. It's like, yeah, I do, but that's not what I'm writing about. So I've learned anytime you're a minority of any kind of version, any ilk of minority, you are not allowed to be just a writer who is that. You are that and a writer. And that's just how society is kind of structured. And that's just kind of how it is.
Do you resent that?
I do, very much so.
Why?
Very, very much so. Because
go on.
No, I resent it because I have, some of my best friends are white. I've got a lot of author friends who are white, and I watch the questions that they get when they talk about their books, and I watch the questions that I get and other minorities get when we talk about our books, and it's just pretty fucked up. Like, for lack of a better term, like, they're allowed to talk about their artistic history and the place that book sits in, like, the landscape of surrealism or whatever. And, like, they're allowed to just talk about their books as artists. Anytime you're a minority, like, the artist part comes in second. The first question is always about, like, who you are to make this book happen. It's like, don't get me wrong, obviously everyone's identity evolves their book, but, like, as a minority author, you're never, I don't say never, because I hate blanket statements. You're rarely allowed to just talk about the art, the identity, the race, all that stuff has to come into it. And I definitely resent that.
Is there such a thing as transcending the race piece? I mean, like, is there an example of someone that you admire just strictly on their writing, not disregarding whatever race or ethnic group they're in, that they're just doing it?
No, there's tons of writers that I try to separate writers from their identity when I approach their work. Like, if their work is specifically discussing their identity in that topic, then obviously I don't separate it. But if I see a writer who is some minority and they just told a story, and I just take it as them telling a story. I don't look for, well, what did their fact that they're a Native American author, what does that have to say about this? It's like, no, maybe they just kind of wrote the book. And oftentimes, because I know that feeling, like, I know what it means to want to be just judged on the merit of your work, of the craft that you exerted and you learned and you honed. I know what it means to just want to be judged on that and not on the other components. And I also know the near impossibility of that happening. Hell of a Book and People Like Us was actually a reaction to almost a decade of not being allowed to just be an artist. Because, again, I wrote 3 novels that have nothing to do with race, and I was perpetually asked about race. So when Hell of a Book came around, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just fucking lean into it. I'm gonna go all the way down. And the irony is, that's the one that wins the National Book Award. Like, there's some dark irony in that too. And so it is a very rigged kind of system, and it is. So I love when readers just talk about the craft. And not that I don't love when they talk about, like, the things that the book is talking about, because both of these books, People Like Us, is talking about some bigger stuff that does involve race and identity. But I really enjoy when readers are like, I just love the craft. I love how humorous it was. I love how you were able to turn this to that. I love the nods to other authors you put in here, the Easter eggs from other books that are in here. Like, I love all that stuff.
Is it an opportunity for voyeurism, though? Like, maybe people are eager to understand what they don't live.
Yeah. I don't believe it comes from a malicious place. Like, I'm actually an optimist when it comes to people. I think most people every single day are trying to do the best that they can. I don't think that people act maliciously the majority of the time. And so when people, I think it's voyeurism. I think people oftentimes, they encounter these books, they encounter these writers, and the writer opens their eyes to an issue that they didn't even know existed. And I think that is always beautiful and wonderful. And so, it's not that I resent that part of it. I just, you tell a story that is about something that is not tied to race, and someone shoehorns it into a race discussion. That's when I get angry. If the book is about race and identity, then cool. Let that be the topic. But I got really resentful when, like, I would try to have discussions that had nothing to do with race. Like, oh man, the weather's nice today. Well, how does the weather feel as a black man? It's like, what are you doing? So that's when I get resentful about things.
Okay. Buckle up. I'm going in. In People Like Us, you're using the word nigger. Mm-hmm. What is your most people, they'll say N-word. No, I'm going, I don't know what. Let's cut to the chase. The word is nigger or nigga, however, wherever, depending upon your origin.
Yes.
What is your relationship with that word?
That's also a very is complicated, and I'm trying to answer. I'm not ducking questions. I'm just saying, like, my relationship is complicated.
I'm right on you. I'm gonna follow you through that room. Come
Yeah.
on, let's go.
So in the book, for those who haven't read it, like, there's a whole thing about like the word nigger and the word N-word. Like, the author wins the N-word award and then makes a joke about how it's the National Book Award, not what you were thinking. Yeah. And it's funny, like, so Hell of a Book had a lot of the use of the word nigger and things like that throughout it. And I got letters from people, black and white, who were just kind of like, oh, I don't like that word, and this, the word is that. And again, I would get it from black readers too, who are like, they feel like some people, you know, I would say the majority of people, they just, you know, the word exists. It's a word. Other people are like, oh, I think that word should die and it shouldn't exist. I personally, I'm not saying that everyone should be walking around using slurs and doing things like that. Like, I'm not that person. But I think it is very dangerous when we start trying to pretend that words have never existed and try to like scrub them out of existence. I'm not saying you should use them all, but I'm saying that, like, we all have the ability to control the amount of power any word has. If anyone uses a word that you don't like, you have the ability to control how much that word impacts you personally. It is difficult. It is challenging. And I think that pretending that the word nigger has never been a part of American society, and it's this thing that, like, I remember, like, you kind of said a second ago, like, I grew up in that phase of, like, I'm 47, so I was a kid in like the 90s, but I remember watching like Phil Donahue debate Louis Farrakhan on the Donahue Show. Those who remember that. And Phil Donahue was using the word nigger. He didn't say N-word. He was using it in a very academic context. And that was just how things existed. And then it moved to, like, that word became so taboo that the N-word becomes the usage for it. And I think that in and of itself starts to teeter on like a really odd space where the more you try to delineate, separate from that word, the more powerful the word becomes. And I think you have to control things like that. You have to control the amount of power that words have. Words are meant to be powerful. They're meant to influence us. They're meant to, like, some words are built to hurt. But I think you have to learn to control how much that hurt is allowed to affect you. And so for me, the word nigger will be in a lot of my writing, not all of it, but when I feel it's appropriate, I'm going to use it. I'm never going to be an author who writes a novel and just kind of says the N word and just like, no, like, because the word it's an ugly word for so many people, but for some people it is not an ugly word. For some people it is. For Black community, it is a part of our identity, it's a part of our heritage, it's part of we've decided a lot of time what that word means to us. And that's important. Like, that's the definition of removing the power from a word and deciding for yourself what the word means. And I don't think that should go away. I've talked to people, when people tell me as a Black person that I shouldn't say nigger, it's like, fuck you, dude. Like, my ancestors have earned the right to decide what this word means for me. And so I am going to use it as I choose to use it. And that's kind of how it is. So yeah, it's complicated. Like, it is a very complicated topic.
But is it really, though? I mean, is it complicated, or do people understand it more than they know and they're just uncomfortable speaking out loud?
No, I think it's fluid. I think it changes. I think that word has changed over time. It continues to change. I think that whenever any group is separated by a word, then the word oftentimes becomes derogatory, even though it does not have to. It oftentimes becomes a derogatory to the group itself. We'll decide, well, we don't want to be separated. We don't want that word to exist for us. And so the word changes. Like, I remember my granddad, he did not like, my granddad was colored. He told us that. Like, when I was a kid, he didn't like the word African American. He didn't like Afro American. He's like, no, I'm colored. I'm not Black. I'm colored. Like, until he died, that was the word that he chose. Like, he thought Black and Afro American, all those words was stupid. He didn't care for them. He said, nope, I'm colored. I'm proud of it. And so that's what I mean by, like, it is fluid. It will change generationally what words mean. And I think we have to kind of, like, one, accept that and decide for ourselves. Like, I've decided for me that I can use the word nigger in my stories and have it have power and have it have meaning and use it in my conversation with friends and things like that. And then if 100 years down the line, my writing all becomes taboo because that word has been scrubbed from the English language, so be it. But for now, I know what that word means to me, and I am deciding for myself when, how to use it.
Thank you. And adjacent to that, cuss words.
Oh, I love it.
I love cuss words. It's all I can do to avoid them right now, sitting before this polite company. I even appreciate how well it's delivered. I mean, it's like an art form, and you do have a little bit of that in here. Yeah. It's not a lot of that here. What about cuss words as a tool?
No, I love them. I cuss a lot, like a lot. Like,
no,
you all have no idea how much I have to like fight to edit myself in front of a crowd of people. Cause I don't want to just like every other word be that. But no, cuss word, like every word is a tool. Every single word that exists for a reason. They're meant to evoke thoughts and feelings and actions. Cuss words are a part of human existence. They're meant to express a specific type of emotion, a specific type of feeling and tone and mood. And I think that when people try to like, oh, I don't use any curse words and I don't want anyone to use cuss words, I think you're limiting what you're kind of in denial a little bit about like how words exist and like how much expression. I mean, a good fuck drop here and there, it just solves problems.
Amen.
It's shortcuts.
Oh, I didn't see that one coming. What about invisibility?
Invisibility in this context of the context of these novels, like that very much was tied to, that is
this is not a cussing invisible person. I mean, this is a separate question, like invisibility per se, not just a cussing visible.
So we're talking about just not being seen as like
yeah. It seems like that holds a certain prestige to you. What is that about?
Yeah, it is. I think as a writer, I very much have always been on the outside. Like I was that guy at a party where like I did like the Irish goodbye, where like I would just disappear and people are like, oh man, where'd you go? It's like, I went home, motherfucker. And so that sense of invisibility that I sometimes get in a crowd of people, that
you're killing me. You're just killing.
You started it.
I started.
Exactly.
It's my fault.
Exactly. No, for me, that invisibility allows me to exist in a room and like watch people and watch how people interact and like really study people. I think as a writer, you should be studying people all the time and studying without judgment. Just, you should be studying to see what people are doing and like what their motivations are. So for me, invisibility is really important.
I think we touched a little bit on this earlier. The fiction, does that broaden it for you? Do you feel like you'd be like in a straitjacket if you just had to play it all the way straight down the line based on historical facts and data?
I mean, for me personally, yes. And that's not to say that historical information and like straight memoir or whatever can't do it. But me as a writer, my voice, I need that high imagination. I need that fiction part of it. Again, when I've been writing fiction since I was 14, it is the thing that attracts me the most. It is the thing that I find the most challenging. It is the thing that I find the most fun. So I probably will always be working in fiction.
You mentioned, as a teen reader and writer, I think you deferred to Grendel and Lord of Flies.
Yes.
As a teenager as being kind of this pivotal moment when you really felt it. You'd met your purpose.
Yes.
What has happened since then? Is that something you just simply return to periodically because it's so well done, or have you met other bits of literature along the way that you feel as transformed by?
Oh yeah, no, for sure. There have definitely been other books that I've read over the years that have been transformative at various moments in my life. I think there are like a lot of like roads, like just paths I went down because of a certain book at a certain point. The right book at the right time can definitely change your life and change your direction. But Grendel and Lord of the Flies were the two books that like I reread every year or two just to kind of see how they are and like how I've moved on as a person and grown. And like every time I reread them, I find something new. I find something that I didn't notice before, something that hits differently because I'm at a different point in my life. They just constantly give me something new. I think that is really, really powerful.
What point were you at in your life as a teen that would have you identify with Grendel and Lord of Flies?
So, with Grendel, it's because of what it did to the story of Beowulf. So the story of Beowulf, you don't know, is like this Danish hero comes to town, kills a bunch of monsters, kills a dragon. It's like the traditional, like, kind of like Western literature hero. He fights dragons with a sword and he's super strong and, things like that. I was very much a quiet, bullied kid who like was the opposite of that. I was very insecure. I got bullied a lot. Like I was just, that's where my introvert kind of state began. It's like just being this quiet kid in class. So Beowulf was the hero. He was the exact opposite. So I loved that character. And then when you read Grendel makes you re-examine that hero and realize that maybe that hero wasn't quite as heroic and wasn't quite this like ultra good guy. Maybe he actually was a pretty bad guy in his own way. And the fact that that book made me re-envision and re-examine this thing that I had just like kind of worshipped almost was fascinating and mind blowing. And I was like, I've got to learn how to do that to other people. I want to make people re-examine things. And same thing with Lord of the Flies. Lord of the Flies just, it made me think about humanity and how we are as a people and how we fit into certain roles and habits and how difficult it is to make people, it's difficult to make people form societies and do the right thing. Like it takes work and effort and energy. So that kind of always re-inspires me to kind of keep trying new things.
Do you think that people who are beat into submission via bullying or any other dispossession, that they perhaps have an advantage over the more dominant part of the culture because they're constantly observing and they scrutinize? They could even tell that, like, for instance, a lot of bullies are really punks. I mean, they really don't have courage. That's why they're, because they're very careful at who they select to bully as far as bullying goes. But do you think, I'm saying all that to say, that I had to get that out because I was bullied once, frequently. Do you think that informs some of the detail in your imagination and your being able to write about these people who you are not because you've had to examine other people so closely as a matter of survival, perhaps sometimes?
I don't think there's any like, cause that smacks of like resilience. And I hate that word resilience. Like I could have been a good writer without being bullied. Like I truly believe that. Like I believe if I had never been bullied, I'd still be sitting here and like, I'd probably be I probably would have came down to that mixer last night. So no, I don't, because like, I always like, because there's this idea that, don't get me wrong, I understand that like hardship does change you and it does kind of, it makes you a new person. It teaches you new things that you wouldn't have learned through success. Like it's true. Failure is the best teacher and like hardship sometimes teaches you things. But the reason I always kind of get my hackles go when people start saying like, oh, so-and-so is so resilient or so resilient. Resilience oftentimes is in the wake of like another person actively forcing you to be resilient. The bully who kicks you in the gut makes you be resilient. The bully's not a fucking hero. They didn't help me. Like they just happened to make me like, and so like if the bully hadn't been there, I probably still would have been okay. Like I probably still would have gone on to write things. So yeah, I don't think that there's no advantage. I just think that, you learn to work with what you have. And sometimes that goes in certain directions, but you don't have to be beat down to be an artist. Like you can just hopefully live a happy life where you're not bullied and still be an artist.
Why were you surprised to be shortlisted for the prize and then eventually win that? What you mentioned how you were just surprised by it. Did you not expect to win?
No,
you were not in touch with it.
And no one expects to win the National Book Award or be longlisted. Like it is such a prestigious, like unless you are a Kanye West level ego, you're not writing stuff going, oh, this was going to win the award right here, man. Like no, like the National Book Award and like when you get to that level of prize, it is just something that is a capstone for careers. Like it is such a huge thing that like, I don't think anyone I've ever met who has been longlisted or shortlisted or even won it, they all say the same thing. They're all like, what the hell? Like there's no way I'm supposed to be here at this party. Like none of this makes sense because those kinds of things are things that other people can win. But you oftentimes the writer, you're like, I can never do that, but that's other people. And then suddenly you're one of those people who actually wins the award and your brain, like my brain is still trying to process it. Like I told you, when people talk about, oh, he won this, I'm like, who's coming out here? Like, he sounds like a cool guy. Like, it never feels like me, which is something else I'm trying to learn to kind of like accept, like that this is also a part of me.
It's a big deal. I mean, hell, I'm inspired sitting here talking to you, and I haven't even seen the award. Is it a physical award? I mean,
yeah, so it is a statue that weighs 8 pounds, like literally 8 pounds. It's brass. It stands about yay tall. And here's a fun fact. So it's designed to look like sheets of paper kind of rolled up, and it's got like a divot in the top of it. It's just enough for a shot of bourbon. So after I won it, I went to a bunch of my friends and I threw a party, and we mixed champagne and moonshine in the top of it, and we did shots out of it. That was like, I don't even drink, but I did shots out of a National Book Award because why not?
I think I got a signal from the literary police that I'm running out of time here.
Yeah.
I think we got a 5 fingers, 5 minutes. That's a minute per finger.
That is.
Okay. All right. So I guess we'll take a couple of questions if there are some. Otherwise, we're going to sit up here and cuss. So go. Oh.
Do you want to take your 5 minutes? You have 5 minutes, or would you like?
No. I'll take a question.
Yeah, questions would be great.
Yeah. He said, please give him a question. Release me from Big Joe.
I had a question about the title of the book.
Okay.
I was just wondering, because I did notice that it was used multiple times in the book. So I was wondering if it was like from the get-go that you knew the title, or as you were writing it came up, but I felt like it had multiple levels. Mm-hmm. And I was wondering if that was like intentional.
Yes. So it was intentional to have it be there and have it be this idea that like the author is interacting with these groups and they all kind of see him, because authors, I think, are kind of like chameleons, where people oftentimes see us as fitting into those groups. And so many people in the book kind of say people like us, and each time it means a different group of people and it means something a little bit different. It was not my idea for the title. I wanted the title of the book to be The Other Continent. And my editor was like, that's a terrible title. We're going to call it People Like Us. A fun piece of trivia, I have yet to title any novel I've ever written. All my novels are titled by other people, so I can't do titles.
And one other part of that question, did you intend for people reading it to also kind of feel part of that as well?
Yes, very much so. That was part of the manipulation, the use of like having it be different for each person. So yes.
Well, good job.
Thank you.
All right, now a line was forming, and this gentleman right here is going to be our last question. I'm sorry, it was his fault. He went on. I'm just saying.
Okay, first, thank you for the passage that you read. When I read the book, it had me on the floor because it was just the best description of that kind of grief I've ever read.
Thank you.
And then I kind of have 2 questions. One, was it really 2 authors?
Oh, no. Short answer is no. Like, I toured Europe and had some weird interactions. And I also went to speak at a college literally less than a week after a shooting once. And that was a whole different experience as well.
And then can you talk more about how you use magic as a plot device? Because I feel like it's in all your books that I've read, and it's fun. Like, it makes them like a different kind of book.
Yeah, for sure. So I use magical realism as kind of what it's called, where like it's the real world, but something that can't happen in reality happens, and characters behave as if it were a real event. I use that because I try to capture kind of like expressionist paintings, where like I want to capture the feeling of a thing more than the facts of a thing. And magical realism makes it really easy to manipulate that and to create feelings more than facts. And that's kind of how it happens. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so.
Oh, poor little pumpkin. I think it'll bend. There you go.
Okay. Height challenge.
We hear you. I know you think big.
All right, I do. I hope. All right, so was Remus a real person that stuck his fingers in your mouth?
No, ma'am. Remus was not a real person. I did have a person at an author event one time who asked me very awkward, long questions about my teeth. He seemed very fascinated by my teeth. He called them wolf teeth. He asked me if I had questions. Like, someone had to actually like move him out of the line eventually, because he wouldn't leave. He just wanted me to he was interviewing me about my teeth, and someone came and like scooted him out. So I kind of based that action off of that.
Okay, that was just horrifying in that book. Every time he came up.
Good.
And one more. Is Frenchie Elon Musk?
Maybe.
Okay. Thank you. Loved your book.
Thank you very much, Val.
Hello. Hi. Thanks.
How's it going?
Here.
Yes, sir.
Kind of a unique question in a way. To go back to the conversation that you were having before about the N-word. Mm-hmm. Okay. And it even feels Like, I can't even say the word up there now.
Sure.
Please don't.
Right? No.
But wise choice.
Which kind of brings me to the question. So that exact conversation that you had and everything that you described. Now, what if you're white? Is it just mean you could never use the word? That's kind of what I'm dealing with right now. Writing is, I'm literally at the point where I have it in my memoir and I took it out yesterday prior to this conversation. So this is such a timely conversation.
Sure.
So I'm just curious what you feel about that.
Yeah, I think if you're a white author, I think context matters. That's the core of it. I think context truly, honestly matters. Because the rules are different for non-black people and for black people and like how that word is used. So context matters. I'm never going to tell someone you can never use that word in your writing, because there are going to be white authors who are going to be telling stories in which that context and that word needs to be there. But I always tell people to ask themselves, like, does that word truly need to be in this moment? If the answer to that is yes, then I say go for it. Just expect blowback, expect whatever comes behind it. But if it needs to be there, follow your art, do it. But the question of like, does it actually need to be there? Rarely is the answer yes, but sometimes it is.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
I think we're about to get the hook. Do you have a closing
No, just
thing you'd like to?
Just thank you is the best closing I always figure out. But thank you guys for coming out, and thanks for reading.
And I'd like to thank you also for coming out, and I want to thank you. This has been a blast. I'm grateful to you for the work, and I'm grateful for you. I'm going to tell people we're best friends or something.
Do it.
Now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.